See, hey everyone, it's Kevin here, and I want to welcome you all to Run 'Cause It's Fun. And tonight we're going to do something pretty cool. This is the first in what I hope to be a new series of interviews where I get to talk to runners about running. So tonight I'm talking to someone who is also in Japan right now and touching his nose, as you can see. And he's a runner, and some of you who are watching this might recognize him also as a blogger in Japan. And well, I'll let you introduce yourself. So can you tell me, who are you, sir?
My name is Jonathan, on YouTube as Reynoldsair.
Okay.
And I am an American.
You're an American. And I'm a Canadian. There we go. A Canadian and American in Japan running.
Nice.
Yeah, so first of all, I guess I'll just start by asking, can you tell us a little bit about kind of your running history, how long you've been doing it, yeah, just that kind of thing.
Cool. Well, I started running in July, so that would make it about 6 months now. There's a bodybuilder on YouTube. It goes by Scooby1961 is the channel name. And he puts out a ton of videos on exercise and nutrition and whatnot. In one of his vids that I saw maybe last June or July, about, he said that at the very minimum, you should do at least 30 minutes of cardio every day. So I started walking for 30 minutes each day for a couple of weeks and started thinking, you know, I wonder if I can run. So after thinking about it for a few days, I was near the end of my walk one day. I thought, you know, I'll just, I've only got like another minute until I reach home anyway. So I might as well just, try to run it. So I did that, and I realized that I could go farther than just that little distance. So I kept running for another 15 minutes after that, which really surprised me. I didn't think I'd be able to go anywhere near that long.
Yeah.
So after that, I just started running every day. No walking, just running only. And now my average run is about 6 km, and my long runs are about 13K. My longest run so far was 15.
Oh, excellent, excellent, excellent. So you've been running for, well, just 2011 July you started.
Yeah, 6 months now.
Yeah, that's great. So you just started by walking. That's actually one thing. I made a video on this channel. Actually, I think it was one of my second or third video where I was talking to people about just starting to run, about people who were thinking about running. And I said that, a lot of people back home, anyway, in Canada, I suppose in America too, and other countries, they just don't live an active lifestyle in any sort of way. And one of the things that I just suggest to a lot of people who are thinking about running, but they've never really been active, is to just actually literally get outside and walk a few times a week and start there.
Yeah, well, like as Scooby said, you got to get your 30 minutes of cardio every day. Every day. At least 5 days a week.
Yeah.
You got to push yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Excellent. Cool. So now that you're running now, would you say that in the past at any point, would you ever have considered yourself athletic? No, I wouldn't. Never.
In fact, I was very fat from middle school until I came to Japan, actually. Which you might not believe if you see me now, but if you go back and look into my, you'll see that I was actually very chubby coming to Japan. When I came to Japan, I was 83 kilograms, about 184 pounds. After 2 years here, I dropped to 55 kilograms. Where I had dropped, 1/3 of myself had fallen off somewhere along the way. Presently, I'm about 62 kilograms, and I think that's probably a pretty good weight for myself. But no, I've never thought that I'm an athlete by any means.
Okay, well, yeah, no, just to be honest, like myself, before I started running, I first started running probably in like 2004. My first stint for about 2 years, and I stopped. But I was anything but an athlete. I recently was talking saying in a video how when I was talking about how anyone can run, before I started running, I actually was like almost a two pack a day smoker.
Nice.
And then one of the reasons why I started running was I quit smoking, and then I just
started getting weight.
Started gaining weight, and also that was definitely one reason I started gaining weight, because I was making up for the kind of that oral fixation of not having cigarettes by putting food in my mouth.
Yeah.
And then just also it was kind of I went through this whole kind of like sweeping thing of I need to get healthy. So how many times a week would you say you get out there running? And are you a daytime runner or a nighttime runner? Because there's a lot of people who, or even, are you like a pre-dawn runner?
Gosh, that's difficult, isn't it?
And then, well, often, like for me, in my case, it often has to do with my schedule. I think I would probably prefer running before I had my son, I've got a 1.5-year-old. Before I started running, I used to run usually in the early evenings after work. But now the whole schedule's changed and everything, and coming home and hanging out with my son and stuff before he goes to bed. So now I tend to find to get kind of maximum family time, I tend to run before they wake up in the morning, which is not easy often. And then on weekends, I tend to run during the daytime. So like on the weekends, maybe I'll go mid-morning. Like this morning, I went out at like 10 o'clock because I have more freedom, kind of flexible schedule. But yeah, so how about yourself?
As for myself, when I first started running, I was running just about every day. I was getting 5-6K every day when I started. Recently, since it's gotten cold, I've learned that I really hate running in cold. I would rather be, mid-Kyoto summer than mid-Kyoto winter. The reason for that is A, it's very cold, and B, it burns my nose as I breathe in, as I try to take deep breaths through my nose, right? It hurts. When I first started running, everything I was doing was early in the morning. I would wake up at 5:30, and then I would be out running at 6. Right now, as it's not light until 7 a.m. now, so it's much harder to get up. It's cold outside, and it's just I can't do it in the morning anymore. Now I'm trying to focus more on like after work at night, say 8, 9-ish. But I do it when I can. As far as regularity, as it's gotten colder, I've kind of settled down a bit. I'm running about 3-4 days a week now.
Okay, that's awesome. That's really good. Now, as far as your running goes, where do you see yourself going with your running? Do you think you're going to throw your hat into some races, maybe try some 5Ks or 10Ks or something like that? Or in the future, do you think you might shoot for some kind of bigger race or maybe not race at all? Do you think it's just something you'll do for your own kind of fitness and health?
If it's something small like a 5K or 10K, that's what I regularly do anyway, right?
Yeah.
So that would be no problem. I haven't seen any of those yet, so I haven't really thought about it. But if I saw those, I would certainly consider it. As for a marathon, no, I don't think so. I've briefly considered it, and there's a part.
I know. I was trying to encourage you at some points. I can remember over Twitter.
I briefly considered it, and it would be wonderful to say, I've run the Kyoto Marathon, or I've run, whatever marathon. But then it takes so much training and so much energy. Often, I tend to be an obsessive person, so like I will make my goal way too high and then get very easily distracted from that, and then give up very frustrated. So I'm trying to keep running very simple. I want to keep doing this in 20, 30, 40 years.
Okay, excellent. Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I mean, I just think about it like for myself too. Like I first started, I went in a few races again when I lived in, maybe 2004, 2005 when I lived in Korea, and I just did some 5 and 10Ks, and I found that that's a really great distance. It's fun. I mean, I consider myself a fun runner. I don't take it too seriously. I do it a lot, but I don't take it too seriously because I know I'm not fast. I don't have the genetics to be anyone, no matter how much I train, to be a contender, so to speak. So I just go out and have fun, and 5 and 10Ks are great for that. Yeah.
Well, and I think that part of the reason that running is, I've never called running fun, and I probably will never call it fun, but because it's work. I mean, I'm an American. I'm prone not to work, but the reason that I managed to keep running is I'm listening to something. I'm listening to a podcast or audiobooks or music, but not very often I listen to music. Mostly audiobooks or podcasts. Okay. The second thing is that I like the running app on my phone, which logs everything I do. And so I get to see that calendar every time I come home, and there's a new running icon on today's date. And I like to see those running icons. The more of those I see, the happier I am. So that motivates me to keep running. Okay.
That kind of leads me into another question I was going to ask you anyway. I know that I follow you on Twitter, so I know that you do use a running app, which I use a running app as well. I use an app called Run Meter, which I absolutely love. I think it's a great app, and there's a lot of really good apps out there. So what do you use as a running app?
I use a program called Endomondo on a Windows phone, and so my choices are very limited. But it's called Endomondo, and it'll log your speed, it'll calculate your average speed, calories burned, things like that.
Oh, great.
And it'll also, it'll show you a Google map of exactly where you've ran and whatnot. So it's cool. It's nice to see them all.
I'll ask you one last question here. because a lot of the people who are going to be watching this video might be people who are just getting into running or maybe considering running. Maybe they're thinking that they'd like to start. So as someone who has basically just started running in 2011, what kind of advice maybe would you give to someone who is out there thinking about giving it a try?
Don't think about it, just do it. I mean, you know, like Scooby said, even if you're just walking, get your 30 minutes in every day. And more recently, he made a video saying the only way to get six-pack abs is to eat less and do more cardio. Just start walking every day, and the running or perhaps the urge to run will come naturally. However, and I can speak from experience on this, however, if you are overweight, running will be much more difficult, and it will be even less fun than it already is. So you have to eat less if you're fat, if you want to run a decent distance at all. You know, I like to listen to stuff which keeps me motivated, and I use my running app as well. You know, all of these things help keep me motivated to keep pushing on.
Yeah. Well, you know, to be honest, like myself, similarly, I always listen to I listen to podcasts when I run, and I have my running app to motivate me as well. And I also spend a lot of time like on YouTube itself. There are so many great videos of runners and things about running, and there's different documentaries about, I mean, I'm interested in running longer distances like marathons and stuff. And there's just a lot of stuff out there that I watch that motivates me. But yeah, great, cool. Well, how can the people out there who are watching this video right now, how can they find you online? Where can you
find me online at youtube.com/Reynoldsair, REYNOLDSAIR, or on Twitter at Reynoldsair.
Okay, folks, and the links are going to be below, okay, to both of those, his YouTube channel and Twitter. So go and subscribe to this guy and follow him on Twitter and all that stuff. So thank you, everyone, for watching the first interview episode of Run Because It's Fun. And this one's going to be quite a bit longer than a typical video. And that's all right, because, you know, you can't squeeze an informative interview into 2 minutes. So stay tuned, guys, and thanks for watching. And remember, click on the links below. And it's Kevin here, and Jonathan?
Reynoldsair.
Reynoldsair, and keep on running, everyone.
Peace.